What's good, everybody? It's Jonah. Come back at another video. So this video I wanted to talk about self-worth, right? How you view yourself and effectively how you value yourself, right? I'm gonna explain to you guys why your self-worth is not determined by your accomplishments. The interesting part about this video is that most people have these two hand in hand, where they believe that their self-worth is in fact determined by their accomplishments, because for a lot of people, the things that they accomplish, which are, your major accolades, the big things you get done, right? A lot of times people, they align how they view themselves, right, their self-worth, with their accolades, or in other words, their accomplishments. And what you need to remember is that you need to always separate the two. Now, your self-worth, this is how you view yourself, how you value yourself. And for a lot of people, they need reasons for them to value themselves highly, or to view themselves as being someone that's great, right? Because typically, if someone feels as though they haven't accomplished anything, they might not view themselves as highly as someone who may have felt as though they've accomplished a lot of things in their life and can look at themselves and feel proud. But you need to remember, first and foremost, regarding self-worth, the fact that you exist and you are alive and breathing and functioning, that right there is more than enough for you to be worthy. That right there is more than enough for you to feel and believe you are deserving of everything in this lifetime. Because what you need to remember is that there was a 1 in 400 trillion, yes, 400 trillion with a T, right? That was the odds of you even being born to begin with. 1 in 400 trillion, right? So the fact that you were born and then you were able to grow up to the point that you made it here now today, right, watching this video, it was effectively a miracle for you to even be here. It was statistically improbable, virtually impossible for you to even be born, let alone survive up until this point. So this is why you should already, first and foremost, believe that you're worthy, believe that you're deserving of everything alone, without needing any accomplishments. Now, the reason why you don't want your self-worth to be determined by your accomplishments, another reason for it, is because your accomplishments in a lot of cases are actually out of your control. Now, I know it might sound kind of crazy to say, but you need to remember is that for the most part, you can only control what you can control. You can only control the things that you do, and you can only control the feelings that you feel, the energy and the attitude that you have, right? But a lot of other things are effectively out of your control. And let me use an example as far as like with YouTube and content creation, right? You can control the content that you put out, how often you put out the content, what is contained in the video. You can control editing the video. You can control the thumbnail. You can control the title of the video. You can control the description, right? You can control a lot of things. But you can't control who watches the video, right? You can't control who decides to share it. You can't control who decides to leave a comment. You can't control, right? Like there's so many, you can't control someone else's watch time, right? Like obviously you can do things to probably increase watch time, but there's no guarantee, right? Obviously when you post a video on YouTube, with the exception of like ads and things like that, right? A lot of times it's the algorithm that's working itself out, right? And so because of that, there are so many variables that are out of your control that you cannot control, right? That these are variables that you directly cannot influence, right? Like this is how it works. And so there's a lot of people who will view their self-worth based on their accomplishments, not understanding or recognizing that a lot of times these accomplishments are outside of us, right? If you decide to determine your self-worth whether a video goes viral or not, right? There's a lot of elements that can factor into a video going viral, right? And not every video will necessarily go viral, right? But if you put out a video expecting it to go viral and it doesn't, right, then you can view yourself as being lesser, right? Or if you, for example, are a salesperson, right? Of course, you can stand in front of people and deliver pitches and do all that good stuff as a salesperson, right? But there's never any guarantee that people are going to buy, right? Now, obviously, right, depending on your sales pitch, depending on the price of the product, depending on a lot of variables, right, that can determine, and who the target audience is, right, that can determine whether someone buys or not. But ultimately, it's up to the person standing on the other side, right, that determines whether or not they're going to buy something, right? And there's no guarantee that they can do that, right? Or that they're going to do that, right? So it's like, I'm just saying all this to put things into perspective, right? That you have to remember that there's only so much that you can control and only so much that you can do. And you have to allow the universe and like all the other variables to also play themselves out. And for many accomplishments that people have, many of the elements that go into accomplishing things have to do with variables that are out of your control. And so if you determine your self-worth based on accomplishments, which have a lot of variables that are out of your control, then if the accomplishments may not go in your favor, then you might think of yourself as being lesser when that's not actually the case and it's not true, right? You need to remember, in this lifetime, you were put here on earth to experience outrageous joy. That is it, right? Nowhere did it say that you're required to be rich, because you don't need to be rich to be happy, right? People can be content with being middle class or even being lower class, right? Because maybe they don't need to earn a lot of money to get the things that they want and need, right? There's nothing that says that you were put here on this earth to ever succeed or accomplish anything, right? There's nowhere that says that you need to accomplish things to be happy, right? Even though, generally speaking, right, people can feel happier knowing and feeling as though they accomplished things than feeling as though they haven't done anything, right? But that's not a requirement, right? The only requirement that we were put here on earth to do or to go after is to experience outrageous joy, is to be happy. You can literally live your life. Like, let's just say you were born on a small island or a small beach town, and being at the beach by the water is your bliss. Like, that is what makes you happy. That's what puts a smile on your face, and you wouldn't want to be anywhere else but in that spot. And you get to experience that each and every day, moment to moment, for the rest of your life. Then in that moment, you've lived one of the most successful lives ever, because you made the most of it, because you were happy all the time, or at least most of the time, right? Whereas that is not the case for most people, right? Has nothing to do with accomplishing things, right? Even though I understand people do have a desire to want to do things with their hands and make things happen and create, right? But the goal is to experience outrageous joy. And if you being by the beach each and every day is what makes you happy and keeps you happy every day, all the time, then you've lived a successful life. And that has nothing to do with any sort of accomplishments, right? Nothing. So this is what I mean. Your self-worth, how you view yourself, you need to view yourself as already being worthy, as already being deserving, and you should not ever question that, right? And don't have that be based on accomplishments, because once again, there are things that are out of your control. If I post a video on YouTube, I can't control, and if I just post a video and let it go, right? I can't control how many views it's gonna get, how many comments, how many people are gonna share it, how many, right? Like, I can't control that. So it would be silly of me to, if I have a certain goal to reach a certain view count, and if I fall short, that like I'm not good enough. Or if I pass the view count, then like I'm good enough, right? Like, you shouldn't view it that way. Just be happy with what you do. Be proud of your work. Be proud of yourself and who you are, and allow the rest of the variables to fall into place, right? Your self-worth is how you view yourself, and you need to view yourself as already being worthy. You need to view yourself like how you view yourself of being worthy and deserving it, and your deserving it, have it already be separate of your accomplishment, because you don't need accomplishments, you don't need accolades to be happy. You can go after these things because they can improve the quality of your life, or they can make you feel better, right? Because of course people want to accomplish things, but don't have it be that these things have to happen in order for you to be proud of yourself, in order for you to feel as though you deserve it all. It should not work that way. Make sure that you see yourself as already worthy and deserving as it is, separate from your accomplishment. And if you decide to go after things, to accomplish things, to succeed, right? well, to succeed as far as like the regular human side of like progressing up a career or whatever you deem as success, right? Then have that be separate. Be happy and content with yourself first, and then go after these things if that's what you want to do. But don't think that you have to do these things in order to be happy, right? You can accomplish very little or even nothing. But if you're happy and you're smiling all the time, then you can still live a much more successful life than most people, right? Because the only measure of success can only ever truly be measured by happiness, because it can't really be measured by money, even though that's how most humans view it. But you need to remember that there's been plenty of people who've had plenty of money, whether they were millionaires and billionaires, and they still lived unhappy lives. And right, we know the story there, right? So that can't be a measure of success. But yeah, most people view that as success. Success is only viewed by happiness, right? But I understand that we as people, we have the desires to want to go after things and make things happen and chase after our dreams and do all that good stuff, right? I understand. Just make sure you keep the two separate, right? Because if things may not go exactly how you envision or exactly how you planned with like your your goals and your dreams and your the things that you're striving for, right? Then that could potentially affect how you view yourself, and can potentially make you think that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, right? But you need to keep them separate and remind yourself at all times that you are worthy, that you are good enough, that you are successful already to begin with, right? The fact that you exist today in this moment, have that be the foundation for you, and then use that foundation to then work towards the accomplishments and accolades if you so choose, right? If you want to go after that, if you believe that it'll add to your life experience, then by all means do it. But make sure you separate the two, because your self-worth is not determined by your accomplishment. You don't need to accomplish anything in this lifetime to be successful. You become successful once you find happiness and joy in your life, and you are able to maintain that moment to moment. That is true success. Everything else is a bonus. So if you decide to go after things, by all means go after it, if that journey will make you happy. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Shoel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.